All right, y'all. I'm going to talk today about my experience with viewing the films Oppenheimer and Barbie back to back. I went to see these films on opening night, or opening day, I should say, because we did see Oppenheimer in the day, which is necessary because it is such a long film. It was 3 hours long. Although, to be honest, I would have preferred to see them as Barbie than Oppenheimer, but I don't know. I went to see these with friends, so they decided that it was going to be depressing, I guess, to see Oppenheimer last, and that Barbie would be more uplifting. I really didn't feel that way, though. I'll be honest. I definitely did prefer Oppenheimer. Now, there's many reasons for this, which I will get into. But I think number one is I love period dramas, period. So if it's old timey, if they're wearing real clothing, real shoes, they're in buildings made out of like actual timber, they're driving around in them fancy old cars, I'm going to be interested in it because it is something of interest to me. Now, if you are also subscribed to my friend Leah's channel, she did a review of Oppenheimer that was about an hour long. However, we disagreed very strongly about these films. So, although we haven't really discussed Barbie as in depth as we did Oppenheimer, I think maybe just because we had went to see that much later in the day. And, by that point, it was exhausting. And I have to say it was exhausting to even do this as like a marathon thing. But I'm glad that I did. I had been looking forward to it for a while. Now, I first saw a preview for this film, Oppenheimer, when I went to see Empire of Light. I think in December, I went to see that film. So I was really intrigued by that. It obviously stars Cillian Murphy, who I'm a fan of, and I try to see most of what he's in just because, I've been a fan of his for so many years. He's very, I think in terms of like Hollywood actors, he's one of the few classically handsome actors, if you'll say that. Like a lot of the stars these days, they're just not visually in any way appealing, but he's very beautiful in his appearance, and he's also just a great actor. Also, he's Irish, so all of that makes me want to see it. So I went to this film with my friends, and Leah was taking copious notes throughout the process, which was funny. I was like, oh dear, is she going to review this? I have to say, she had stated that the film wasn't as visually a treat as she would have liked, but I definitely found it very visually appealing. There were many scenes where kind of the character breaks with reality a little bit, and those were interesting. The way they kind of presented that was visually interesting. Also, just the old-timiness. There's parts that take place in the late 20s, and then there's parts, the rest of it kind of takes place in the 40s and 50s. So obviously, the dress and the way that people carry themselves and speak is actually very interesting to me to view. I enjoy looking back. I love period dramas. I watch, shows that are period dramas. I will pick a period drama over anything else anytime. So that was obviously very important to me. I also love historical pieces, and this is a biopic. So I I enjoyed it pretty thoroughly. I was able to get, engrossed, lost in the um, film, as it were. I was able to kind of just, let myself go. Although I will say the previews were appalling. Like they did not suit the film at all. There was one film that they presented, like the last one, that may have been in some way relevant to people who want to see a film like Oppenheimer. The rest of them were just trash, just stupid. In fact, we saw one of them again when we went to see Barbie. It was the Gran Turismo film, and that just looks like such a stupid film. It really does. It's this young boy in England who wants to become a race car driver through playing video games. It looked terrible. And when we saw it the second time in the theater, Leah booed, which was very fun to. Many people laughed. Hopefully, they were feeling the same way. But we had seen it already. This terrible preview for this POS film. So anyway, back to Oppenheimer. It was obviously the content of it was very serious. I liked how it went back and forth through time. I appreciated it. It was like people remembering things and going back and forward, and how the story kind of unveiled. I enjoyed most of the actors in it, and I will say that the sex scenes they left a lot to be desired. They were unnecessary and gratuitous, actually gratuitous. And I get so frustrated with films that have these sex scenes, and it's just, it's so obvious, because the character that Oppenheimer is having sex with is, the actress is much younger, so we'll just say that. I think that probably had something to do with it. He does not have sex with the other character, who plays this Emily Blunt's character, who plays his wife. They're not depicted in any sort of scenario, nor with any woman, but they show multiple times like him having sex with this woman, and it's a very tempestuous relationship, and she's crazy. I'll just put that out there. I was just saying that when watching the film, I was like, "Oh, she crazy!" Like, "Oh, I get triggered when I see women act like that certain way. I'm like, "Oh God," because it's crazy. I just, I just thought it was gratuitous and unnecessary. And there's one scene even where there's like, he's having to basically admit to these people in it's not even a hearing he was subjected to. He was basically put through a bureaucratic process of having to renew his security clearance. And so he had to basically go through this whole process of having all his dirt dug up. And one of those things was that he had this affair with this woman. I don't want to call it affair. He was in a relationship with her prior to marrying his wife. And yeah, she had asked him to come to her, which he said he would always do. And he did. And they had, intercourse again. And, he basically told her it was over after that, because, he's married with a kid now. He can't be there for his wife and family and her at the same time. So yeah, that didn't go well. But anyway, she was also communist, and there's all this, content related to McCarthyism, and the fact that, so many people in the US were blacklisted, denied, access. They were fired. They were not able to work in their chosen fields due to this level of anti-communist hysteria that gripped the country for so long. during the 50s. I mean, I've known people and talked to people who lived through this, who were impacted by it. And it was very difficult if you were known to be a socialist or involved in any sort of left-wing activity, you were a target. And I appreciated seeing that, in this film, seeing the level to with which he was harassed, and just totally had his life in upheaval for basically supporting causes that you would think most people would support. He supported unions and obviously the Spanish Civil War. He sent money to help, fight fascism in Spain. So it was a good historical piece in many ways. I appreciated it visually. I found it stunning. I loved all the old cars and the clothing. I find that stuff just really enriching. I love seeing men in suits as well. You just don't see professional men in suits like you used to. I just, a lot of them, it's gotten so lax, they'll think they can get away with just wearing a blazer. And I'm sorry, can you please put on a suit? So anyway, and yeah, his fashion in the film was kind of interesting. There was this very nice New Mexican kind of style turquoise belt buckle that he wore, which I thought was nice. I also loved like Emily Blunt's characters' outfits. They were very classy and just stylish, elegant. I enjoyed it. I enjoy that kind of thing. So I don't want to give too much away. Obviously, I won't tell you what happened with the bomb. You can look that up yourself. But yeah, it was visually interesting. It was kind of cerebral at times. I enjoyed that though. I enjoyed getting lost in it. And obviously it's not the best film ever made or even the best film by this, director, but but in terms of the hype, it definitely was interesting and definitely worth viewing. Now, we had an interim break in between films. We went and had lunch, and then we went to see Barbie. And now Barbie is the film that I want to talk about. Hello, friend. I love the part where Ken said it's Kenning time and Ken all over the place. Indeed, yeah. Ken was a very fun character. Even going into the film, I saw a poster for the film, and it said something like, I don't remember what it said, but it's basically said how amazing Barbie is, and he's just Ken. He's just Ken. And I was like, oh, that's kind of, because I'd heard some people kind of being like, ooh, there's feminist propaganda in here. And I was like, okay. Then I saw that and I was like, it's kind of an interesting marketing ploy. He's just Ken. I loved Barbies growing up. Now, I want to see this because I played with Barbies as a girl. I loved them. I played with them for a long time. Like, I probably played with them longer than some girls do. I think I gave them up in about the 5th grade, maybe. So maybe that's pretty common. I was probably like 10 or 11 when I stopped playing with the Barbies. But I loved them. They were such fun dolls to play with. And to me, such a significant part of my childhood. Like, I remember my first Barbie, it was the pilot Barbie. And she was featured in the film as well. Like, I was so loved that doll, loved her outfit, loved playing with her. And obviously during the 90s, there were a lot of cool Barbies that came out, and I knew about, it was fun, like seeing the lore and kind of going back and remembering just, for a hit of nostalgia, these dolls, and also to see the creation of a world where they might live and what it would be like for them. And I enjoyed that. It was fun on that level for the nostalgia piece and just for my own kind of interest in the Barbie lore and fandom, the characters in the Barbie universe, seeing who would be featured and who wouldn't. I really, really enjoyed that. However, I do not think this is a film to take kids to see at all, like at all. There were some kids in the audience, which was, I kind of was wary about to begin with. But yeah, I didn't think it was appropriate for kids, which is unfortunate because kids play with Barbies and they're going to want to see this film. And they're going to have to sit through a lot of social engineering, I would say. How do I put this? The feminism on display in Barbie is so trite. It's that trite Hollywood feminist garbage that is so meaninless and has nothing to do with women's lived experiences in any palpable, serious way. There was a great deal of feminist ranting that the character played by America Ferrera engages in, and it was alienating to me to listen to, just because I think, this women face like real issues and challenges in this world. There are actual serious things that we could be discussing as issues, like actual policies, actual restriction of freedom and rights that women face. However, what they chose to focus on and highlight was, the fact that women feel like they have to be liked, and just this is kind of like irrelevant nonsense that isn't hard or material and doesn't really make any arguments that I feel uplift women in any way. It's just that kind of ranting that is about, how I feel about being perceived as a woman. And I don't think that that's tangible. And I don't think it's something that you can really legislate. That in and of itself was just so alienating to me to listen to and to sit there. And, for if you've followed me for a while, you know how seriously I have been enwrapped in that kind of stuff. And so when you see discussions of patriarchy and unfairness to women, when it comes out in this very superficial way, I feel like it really detracts from any sort of real understanding that could be had about women's plight in the world and what women might still need in order to facilitate important changes in our lives. It's and the other thing is, all the men in the film are such idiots. I'm so tired of that trope. I really am done with it. If men were so stupid, patriarchy wouldn't exist, would it? And I'm so tired of seeing that, like, it's so dismissive. Obviously, Ken is a doll. Ken is a himbo, if you will. This is the other thing. Like, Barbie didn't want anything to do with Ken. Like, he was just one of her friends. He was just some guy who was a little clingy. But I don't know. My Barbies liked playing with Ken. My Barbies definitely did date Ken. Like, he wasn't just a friend. He wasn't just, some guy. Obviously, Barbie is she's the center of that world. But I definitely felt like kind of irritated with that. I'm like, most girls who have a Ken doll are probably having their Barbie go on dates with him. He's probably a romantic interest. They're probably seeing Ken as some way of acting out house with dolls. When you don't have a friend to play house with, you grab your Barbies and she gets Ken and they go do their thing, and there's scenarios that you act out, from your childhood imagination of what adult people do. And I just felt like it was really strange how Barbie didn't have any sort of interest in Ken whatsoever. The other thing is the film had started with this scene with the girls. There's these little girls and they're playing with these baby dolls, and very cute little baby dolls. And then Barbie comes onto the scene. And she's just so great that these little girls start smashing their baby dolls like to bits. And I thought that was kind of weird as well, because obviously they're making the inference that it is so much better to, be Barbie and have a career and all of that than to be a mother, or to, in any way nurture that sort of play in female children, which is like, what is this? I definitely get where people were coming from, thinking that the film had this kind of weird woke feminist agenda, because it does. It so does. It's very obvious. The men are idiots. The men in the real world and the men in Barbie world are all idiots. Ken is not, in any way Barbie's boo. And also that kind of nonsense with the baby dolls getting smashed. It was just like, I wasn't big on playing with baby dolls. I know that I probably had one, I don't know. Yeah. But why is it a competition between the dolls? Barbie is very cool. Barbie's very unique. I love Barbie, but I don't see anything why Barbie should in any way diminish, these baby dolls either. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing with baby dolls. There's nothing wrong with, having tea parties with your baby dolls or pretending to be a mother. These are things that most women around the world, at some point, we have to contend with the fact that we are female and that we can be impregnated and have babies. So, baby dolls it's not bad to give a girl a baby doll. It really isn't. That's part of our makeup to have babies. So yeah, I liked Barbie World. I liked the fun of it, the way it was kind of just so fake and plastic, but they're like interacting in it, and it was so many scenes in it were very cutely done. I did find the film entertaining. I will say that it was entertaining. It was funny at certain points. There were definitely some jokes that were like, they hit, but I definitely did feel alienated by the male bashing, male bashing, fake Hollywood feminism. That's not about anything. That kind of, it really just, to me, just, that's not what Barbie's about either, And then, in Barbie World, obviously the Barbies hold all the power. They have all the positions of leadership in the community. The president in Barbie World is a female. And of course, it's all very vapid because these Barbies they're dolls. They're not smart. They're not saying anything serious or interesting. And then when Ken comes around and, Ken goes into the real world with Barbie to find this girl who's been playing with her and who is playing with her in ways that are kind of disturbing. So she starts having all these symptoms. She starts thinking of death. Her feet go flat. She has cellulite, freaks her out, all these things. And she finds out she has to go to the real world to fix this issue. And Ken tags along. He kind of hides out in the back of her car and then shows up. And they go to the real world, and Ken is exposed to patriarchy for the first time. And for the first time in Ken's life, he's also treated with respect, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like, he comes to this world and somebody says, "Excuse me, sir," which, I don't know. To me, it was very obvious why the Kens rebelled. He goes back to Barbie Land before Barbie does, and he brings, what he learns about patriarchy to the Barbie world. Obviously, it's his understanding of it is limited because he's a himbo Ken doll. But it made sense to me why they rebelled, because they had no position, no status, and no power. And then, of course, the movie, it's set right, where Barbie comes back and, spoiler alert, right? Barbie comes back, and through a series of different moves with the help of many different things, restores Barbie Land back to Barbie. But they don't in any way try to uplift the Ken dolls in any way. They don't try to reconcile with the unfairness of these Ken dolls being ruled by a solely Barbie regime. It's just considered to be fine, despite the fact that they were so severely unhappy. There was some interesting things. So when Barbie's riding in her car, the radio is playing Indigo Girls, Closer to Fine, which I thought was okay, that's weird, Closer to Fine. Okay. And then she comes back after Ken kind of brings patriarchy back to Barbie Land. It's playing Matchbox 20. The radio on the car is playing Matchbox 20's Push. And then that song takes on another, it's featured very funnily in another scene. It's just, I don't know. It's very silly, but I definitely found there were some insidious kind of messages that I didn't like in it, like the thing with the baby dolls. Oh, Ninja Cat is commenting. So this movie certainly didn't reflect how most people played with their Barbies. Yeah. No, definitely did not reflect my Barbie life at all. My Barbies were like Amazon warriors. Those poor baby dolls, they did not deserve that. What's happening in baby doll land? Yeah. To me, it's like so many women are going to be mothers, and there's all this pressure to be a mother, to be, have a career, to do everything. And it really makes women, it really drives women nuts. It really drives women nuts to be expected to do it all. And the other thing is, when motherhood is devalued, it's really bad for the culture, because the children are the future of our world. And so why do we as a culture accept the denigration of mothers. It really is so, it doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense. And it obviously, not every woman will be a mother. Obviously, it's a complicated issue, but the, this culture is very, very much too comfortable with denigrating motherhood as if it isn't as important a role as, you know, all these careers that Barbie has. I definitely found that like that was a message coming across. Like, well, women can be anything now. But you know what? When she goes to the world, the real world, she meets a woman who's a mother. So there's that. Okay. Did you have Cabbage Patch dolls? Perhaps you were too young. I'm not too young to have Cabbage Patch dolls. I had one Cabbage Patch doll. I got in trouble for painting her nails pink because she didn't, you know, they were like cloth hands, so it wasn't supposed to be painting. She had this really cute black and white checkered dress. She was very cute, but yeah, I got in trouble for painting her little nails. I didn't have many of them, but I definitely thought they were cute. And those, yeah, for me, I really loved like my Barbies and my troll dolls. Those were my dolls that I really played with. And obviously I still have troll dolls. Not the ones I had as a child, but as an adult, that's been a toy that I've kind of collected. I don't have any Barbies though, which kind of thinking about, I'm like, why don't I have a Barbie? Wouldn't it be nice to have a Barbie in this house? Maybe I'll look into getting a Barbie sometime just to, you know, fit in with the other toys because Barbie was such a big part of my childhood. I played with Barbies so much and they were fun to play with. And I loved, you know, the imagination that they brought about. Like Barbie was and is such a significant, iconic toy. So I think, yeah, many people are just interested in this film for that reason alone. But again, not a film to take your kids to see. I cannot bring myself to watch Barbie. Oh my, you cannot bring yourself to. Oh my goodness. Don't be so dramatic. But I'm going to watch Oppenheimer tomorrow. I loved Oppenheimer. I don't know, you might have missed me. I started this film talking about Oppenheimer. I loved it. Loved it. So, my friend Leah did a review. She didn't like it so much. Thankfully, she did say in it that I don't endorse that message because I loved it. And yes, I knew it was you. One thing I noticed is that Barbie Land could be like the perfect communist utopia, but the movie rejects that once again. Hollywood doesn't like to portray utopias as positive. Well, the perfect communist utopia in Barbie Land? What do you mean? Huh? But then our main character Barbie, she'd have to be a worker too. She'd have to be a worker too. My sister used to have a bag of Barbie heads. Wow, potential sociopath. Yeah, I remember an episode of Roseanne where DJ has all these like Barbie doll pieces, and his sisters, like, I don't remember who, if it was Darlene or Becky, but they tell on him, and then Roseanne sees it and she's like, "Oh no, that's normal." She like lifts up the little decapitated Barbie head. And I did remember there were a couple times that I played Barbies with boys and they were not respectful to my Barbies. You know what I mean? They were not respectful to my Barbies. And I found it really like there was one boy who like played so roughly with my Barbies that like one of their heads popped off. And you know when your Barbie's head pops off, she's just never the same again. She's just never the same. She got a little squat neck now. She don't look right. I'm going back. See, this is the thing. This is the thing about Barbie. It like brings you back these memories about these dolls. That was not okay. I did not like my Barbies being treated poorly. I did not like them having their heads popped off or anything like that, or their legs ripped off, or, you know, cutting their hair. I mean, I'm sure everyone has had an experience where they cut the hair on their Barbie and they realized what a bad mistake it was. Because your Barbie just never looks right when you cut her hair. It sticks up. It looks weird. She can't have short hair. I wish they would make a Barbie with short hair, and obviously there was a weird Barbie who was kind of drawn on and had her hair cut and, you know, is permanently or like had the splits, you know. I loved when my Barbies would do the splits. So great. And I didn't like those Barbies with knees, you know, the ones with like the working joints. Those were so weird. And the other thing I liked about Barbies is that you could kind of slightly bend their legs. But anyway, I disagree that they don't have class because they do have the Ken dolls, which are, you know, they have no representation, they have no freedom, they have no position, but they're expected to live in this world. So I disagree. It's a world where you have like it's not even patriarchy because the Ken dolls have no use. They're just there taking up space. They don't have jobs. They don't do anything relevant. Yeah, I don't even know how to describe that. I don't even know what their role actually is in Barbie Land. But they definitely have no representation. They have no say in the order of things. Ninja Cat asks, would you say the movie is woke? See, that's a difficult thing to answer because what does that mean? If we're talking about like a general, like progressive, liberal, nonsensical worldview, you could say that if you're inclined to speak that way. I definitely think that it definitely has, like I said, a fake Hollywood feminist agenda that really isn't about anything real. So yeah, I would say it's woke. It's the content of it falls apart. There's a fat Barbie. I never had a fat Barbie. I haven't seen a fat Barbie. So that was interesting to me. But there's a Barbie in the film that's fat. And I don't know. Maybe I need to look it up, see like who this Barbie was when she came out. But I have not seen her. In terms of, I remember there was a big controversy when Barbie, because of her like frame, was considered to be giving women and girls like uncomfortable feelings about their body. I remember that was a controversy that came out when I was like a late teenager. And I remember thinking it was so stupid because I never compared myself to Barbie. Barbie was a doll. She didn't look like a normal woman. She wasn't a normal woman. Obviously, very few women look like that. I never felt like inadequate or less than when comparing myself to a Barbie, but apparently we were supposed to feel that way. And if we weren't feeling that way, we were wrong. So they did start to kind of change her body and give her like a little bit more wider hips, I think. But I had stopped playing with Barbies at that point, and I remember just reading about it and being like, okay, whatever, great, whatever. Yeah, I would say generally the film itself does kind of have those themes, and I found them alienating for sure. I didn't like it. I don't think it's a movie for children. This is a movie for adults who are on a nostalgia kick, but I definitely don't. I would worry if I had a child and I took them to see this film that they would come away with some messages about men that are unhealthy, and that they would come away with a overinflated sense of self-importance for if my child was a girl. Definitely. I definitely think it stokes that kind of like gender war nonsense that like is so prevalent in the media. Like, and I don't think it's something I would want my kids to be exposed to if I had any. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something for precious, young, fragile minds. It's definitely something as an adult you can kind of take away, you can laugh at, you can kind of differentiate a bit. But I think, an image is worth 1,000 words, worlds as well. But it definitely, the images, the way that these kind of media shape our culture, it does have an effect, and especially on young minds. They're absorbing messages without really even being aware of that fact. So, yeah, I would say you could say Barbie was woke, but again, like, it doesn't mean anything because that doesn't mean anything. It's just, I don't like the fact that this one type of perspective that is basically just general liberalism in the culture is called woke, because it really isn't. Like, shouldn't we come up with a better name? Because I don't see the awakeness. I don't see the awareness. I don't see an awakening happening. I see that it is really the opposite. That term that we call woke is so asleep. It's so like there's nothing behind the eyes. It's so just being in step with the current and correct positions. So, that we're all supposed to feel if we're not, wanting to be a bad person, apparently. So I don't like the term. I know it's used as a pejorative, but like, even so, it's not accurate because they're not aware. They're not awake. They're not in any sense more enlightened than anyone else. It's the opposite. So Barbie with short hair looks like Chucky. Yeah, she does. It's a damn shame. Do not cut the hair on your Barbies. Listen, I know from experience. I am so sorry I did that to you, Barbie. I should have known better. I thought I was going to do it better. But no, I was wrong. And I did you dirty. And I made you look so bad. And then I didn't want to play with you because you looked weird. I am so sorry, Barbie. The era of the girl boss needs to come to an end. This inane nonsense dressed up as activism leads to nothing but resentment. Well, that's a good way to put it. It's like That was all this feminist ranting in the film was about nothing. It was about nothing. No real material issues. And from what I understand, they had a trans woman playing one of the Barbies. Now, I didn't clock him, but I found this out later. So, like, what does that say? And at the end, I don't want to give away the ending, but you know, there's with that, okay. If Barbie is about empowering women and girls, it's about inspiring girls to dream big and to, you know, become career women and to think about, you know, what they're going to be when they're adults. If that's what Barbie's about, why are we having a man pretending to be a woman representing Barbie, representing women? You know, here, you could grow up to be, you know, somebody who is okay, let me say this better because I didn't put that very well and I don't want to, you know, say it the wrong way, but that issue, particularly one of what a woman is, the very definition of women, and our sex-based rights, which are currently under attack in this nation and many others. Puts that issue is specifically, and this particular demographic of people are therefore at odds with the interests of most women and girls. So there's an issue with that if we're going to make, you know, the issues that were brought up in the film were about how women are not likable. Now, yeah, sometimes we're not likable, right? Sometimes women are not likable. We don't have to be likable. That's the other thing about that really irritated me. And then you still have to worry about, and then whether people like you or not. And it's just this like inane nagging nonsense. Like if I were a man, I just like thought about it, like trying to like come to terms with it. But if I were a man and I heard that from women as, you know, this is what feminism is about. It's about all of this superficial nonsense and how I feel about how I'm being perceived as a woman, I would be very inclined to shut my ears and not listen because it's a lot of emotional nonsense that has nothing to do with material reality. I mean, I don't want to say that completely. Obviously, the way that we're perceived does play a role in the way we will interact with other people, but it's not the biggest issue that women face. It's not even number 5 or 6 on the hierarchy of issues that women are facing in this world, you know. So we want to talk about patriarchy, oppression, you know, what are the real issues facing women and girls? Yeah, that's the other thing too. There's a scene where Barbie like she like clocks this big man, this big burly man. Why are we still showing films like this? That sort of thing irritates me. That isn't reality, okay? In no reality does a woman the size of Margot Robbie take on a man who's over 200 pounds. That doesn't exist in reality. Like this, the reality that we face as women is that we are, generally speaking, smaller and weaker than men, and they can use their bigness to control. All right. And that's a material reality that's just like glossed over. Their strength is not addressed. And I don't like, again, I don't like making this I don't like anything that like is pitting the sexes against each other because that's destructive. It really is. You know, it really is. And I'm tired of it. I've had to hear it for like, I've been enmeshed in it for years, coming out of it, seeing the light. When I see it now, it's just like, ugh, I don't want kids to be exposed to this. I don't want them to see this and think, girl power. I'm going to kick a man's ass. Like, can we deal with reality? That's not reality. Okay? That's not reality. And you know what? Nobody wants to hear this nonsense about how you don't like the way people perceive you because honestly, it's not a real issue and everybody faces those challenges regardless of what sex they are. It just irritates me. Anyway, y'all talking. Whoa, okay. Whew. All right. I'm glad you see through Barbie. Thank you. Lavender Rose loves women. Alex Dobkin, rest in peace. The doctor was Hari Neff. I don't know who that is. Trans Barbie, what the F? I mean, it's Hollywood. It's Holly weird, right? Yeah, that's true. It's very, very insidious propaganda. Yeah. Also, yeah, he's just Ken. He's just Ken. Boys are dumb. If they were so dumb, why is the real world a patriarchy? And the men in the real world, like these CEO characters, like the board members of Mattel that are all men in the movie, are all idiots, are total incompetent idiots. That's not reality. That isn't real. That's some very, I really don't like that. Like that does not. I remember reading a quote from Michelle Obama, and she said that too. She was like, all my life I was made to feel like these old white men were so smart, but you get in the room with them and you realize it's not true. Being smart means being empowered. If they can maintain their power, they're smart. Don't underestimate somebody who's in power. Okay? That's the stupidest thing you can do. And we get this message all the time, all over the place. Oh, the powerful are not really very smart. Really? Then why are they in power? Really? We live in a patriarchy. Men are just so dumb. I mean, you see it in all these films, all these commercials, like the man's a bumbling idiot. Even the father in the film, the husband, he's like a total idiot. He's portrayed as this total idiot. I'm like, why? We have this successful career woman, mother, and she's married to a man who's an idiot. Really? Really? Now, I don't know if that's just about lowering women's standards and expectations. I think that's part of it too. Actually, I think that's a big part of it too. I think that's a big part of it. It's not just about like manipulating women to think that, they're going to get out there and girl boss their way to the top. I don't think it's just that. I think that the kind of messaging where men are portrayed as bumbling idiots, like in all these TV shows, these movies, commercials, this film, Barbie, like, and it's just so funny seeing it after watching Oppenheimer, where like you're dealing with physicists, men of science. They weren't dumb. They ain't dumb. They're not as dumb. Like, and I find it really, it's dangerous to be spreading that message in general. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, the virtue signaling was off the chain. It could have been even more. Like I'm surprised it wasn't more than it was. Wow. um That's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, when Barbie is on display regardless. I mean, if you think about it makes sense though, because there's no walls in the Barbie. I never had a Barbie dream house, so I can't speak to it, but she doesn't have walls. So I thought that was just because that's the way the houses were made. But I like where you're going there. No, no. I mean, it would depend on the situation. I don't know. Maybe she'd get a medal for heroism. Women don't hit men. Do not hit, like, if you have to defend yourself, okay, but do not in any sense, don't, like, unless you are a trained fighter, unless you, like, know for a fact you can take the guy, don't be hitting men. It's a bad idea. Don't be putting your hands on them. Don't. It's just I can't. I hate that. I hate that in Holly Weird. How commonplace that is. It's like, do you know how dangerous that is for a woman to actually do that? Um, well, I don't. It wasn't a matriarchy because only the Barbie Midge is a mother, and she's not even a mother. She's just pregnant. You know, she's a mother to be. Um, it's not a matriarchy at all. I mean, it's just there's no sense of the fact that society is about societies reproduce themselves. You know, patriarchy reproduces itself. Matriarchy has to reproduce itself, and we do that through reproduction. And it's about how these things are distributed, how resources and power are distributed in the community. So Barbies aren't having kids. It's just this. So it's not a matriarchy or a patriarchy. It's just Barbie land. It's just this rule of the Barbies. It's something else. And yeah, it is. It's an inversion of patriarchy because I don't know. Yeah, it's. I don't even know how to describe what it is exactly. Yeah, I mean, as I said, yeah, don't be putting your hands on a man. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then that message is so I it bothers me so much. Or you see these like action films where you have a woman who's like maybe 5'1", 125 pounds, and she's like beating off, beaching off the beach off. Oh, that irritated me in the film. There was this like beach off moment where it just sounded wrong. But yeah, this you'll have like a female character who is petite and in heels, and somehow she's fighting off several male characters at once. It makes no sense. And yeah, it aggrandizes women in the most vapid ways possible. And none of it has anything to do. I would like to see women aggrandized for the things we do naturally. I would like to see like our actual superpowers maybe displayed instead of being expected that we're going to be like the female version of a man and doing it better and like doing it in heels. Like it's so ugh. Yeah, I mean that's the case with the Mattel characters. Like all of the men at the top of Mattel, they're you know, they're bumbling fools. They're not powerful at all. They don't even know what they're doing. I've never seen Hogan's Heroes. So I can't comment on that. Um, you try to critique anything from a radical perspective, you're going to get attacked. That's how if you come you're going to get attacked. And obviously, I mean, I think too, the thing about Barbie is that it is such an emotional attachment many people have to that, you know. They wanted to enjoy this film. I wanted to enjoy the film, but I knew going in that I was going to get inundated with like the fakeness. You know, I was going to get inundated with the fake feminism, the Hollywoodism, the nonsense. And there's, like I said, the film is not totally bad. Takeaway is that it's visually interesting. I did enjoy seeing how they created a Barbie world and how that was set up, and I found that cute and interesting. And I liked seeing again, as somebody who played with Barbies, like all these different characters and different discontinued Barbies. I liked that. But I think, yeah, people have this emotional attachment to Barbie just because, you know, we played with them as girls. So when you're going after this film, it's kind of like, no, you don't understand. Or maybe, you know, I think a lot of these people are just so vapid that they think that that kind of inane feminist ranting about how women are perceived is real and gonna do something and gonna wake up the world. And like, yeah, that's that kind of righteous anger. And it's so pointless. It's so pointless. I will say this though, Lavender Rose, women are the ultimate natural resource. So you can't discount like the fact that women are a resource that men do fight over. At the end of the day, like we are the ultimate resource. There's no society without us. The womb is the ultimate. So just say that. I mean, that's why men have traditionally been sent to die in war and not women. It's because we're that resource of the womb. It's essential to all nations. Um, thank you. It's good to see you around here too. Hmm. I mean, I think, you know, I think it's a good thing for feminists to go in and watch. I do. Like if you're or people who are interested in any sort of like women's issues, I definitely think to view it is not a bad idea because you're going to come, I mean, view it with a critical eye. Obviously, it's entertaining and it's funny at times, but there's definitely, as Lavender Rose put it, really insidious propaganda in the film. And it's, the messaging is, I don't think, good for girls to absorb. And like I said, I don't think it's a film for children at all because children really cannot, they don't really have the ability to look at things this critically, and they take in the messages a lot more easily that are in these kind of films. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, but I don't understand that because like going to see a gynecologist is one of the, you know, Rolodex things that a lot of these men are, they haven't, you know, they have all their little rituals they go through as, you know, to show their womanhood and to, you know, validate their womanhood, and many of them go to a gynecologist to validate their womanhood. So Like, I thought that was like, I'm like, where is it going with this? Like, I thought that was, I thought that was interesting. Like, I had a lot of thoughts about that. Um, they, you know, you're transphobic if you do, you're transphobic if you don't, you know? No, I'm glad the film's had it's done what it is supposed to. And it colored Fancy later got a black Christie. I don't remember. I had a black Barbie, but I don't remember what her name was. And you know what? They didn't have Steven the Black Ken doll, or the Black Steven doll. Like, I wanted one so bad as a child. I never got one. Um, but yeah, then Barbies. um, yeah, for real, avoid conflict. The best defense is avoidance. You know, why? Yeah, I don't like even a man that is weak, generally speaking, is going to be stronger than most women. And this is again the issue with like the whole, you know, the sports thing, the women's sports being infiltrated thing. And the issue is that men's bodies are just built differently. They're built for more endurance. They are physically stronger. These things are a reality. It's a reality. And yeah, it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Yeah. Barbie, yeah, there's a scene where Barbie just punches a guy who's much bigger than her. It doesn't make sense. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Oh my. I mean, Barbie was a doll and she went to live in the real world. Yeah, I mean, Barbie is meant to be a female doll. I don't know. You know, these men they wish so badly that they got to play with Barbies as girls. You know, it's one of those things that they're playing with them now. You know, they're just reliving their girlhood they never had. That's all it is. They're sitting there playing with Barbie themselves. They're like, "Oh, I get to play with Barbie now. My Barbie's a trans woman." Oh my goodness. When did you have Barbies? How old were you? How old are you? When did you grow up? Oh, that's nice they got you a Barbie. That's sweet, honey. That's a sweet memory. They saved up. They saved up to get you a Barbie. Oh my god. That makes, yeah, that's something to think about. They were honestly, I think the pilot Barbie was a gift from like my grandparents. Because you know, those kind of fancier Barbies were, I don't know how to put it, like they were more costly. Yeah. Um Later in the 90s, they kind of got cheaper. There were like different ones you could get, ones with like, but the all those special Barbies, like the mermaid Barbie, the one with the really long hair, all those like really fancy ones, uh, they were, excuse me, they cost a pretty penny. I remember I always wanted a Solo in the Spotlight Barbie. I never got her. And thinking about it now, like she was only like $20, but like my dad wouldn't buy her for me. And then of course her price went up. I don't know how much she costs now. Probably a lot more. But yeah, I always wanted that doll. I liked it because it was that classic 50s look. I like that she looked different than the other Barbies too. Yeah, I guess. I mean, once the Barbie's out though, she's already formed. Oh, that's right. That's righteous. And to think we still play with Barbies. I grew up in the 90s and I have my Barbies. They weren't very radical. I mean, I did have like they were Amazons. I will say that about my Barbies. They were Amazons. I My dad had a lot of leather in the house because of he used them with the crafts he made. So I would get like scrap pieces of leather and then make little outfits for the Barbies out of that. And then I'd like draw on them with marker. It's, you know what? It's not a big deal. I wanted something I didn't get. I'm still here. I'm still here. There were a lot of things I wanted as a child I didn't get. Some people had no Barbies. Some people had none. You know, I had toys. I'm okay. Oh my goodness. That's rad. That is rad. Yeah, I mean that's the thing about life. We'll be okay. We will survive. Some people don't have any toys. Some people have more than others. Some people get everything they want. Some people get some of what they want. Some people get not what they asked for. Too. Like, because either it's not available or, parents aren't really listening. It's just, it is what it is. But it's cool. So yeah. Barbie's I like how Barbie kind of changed her appearance over the years. I'll say that like Barbie hasn't always looked one way. Her facial features, even like the construction of her face is different. So I'm assuming like the Barbies that Lavender Rose played with as a child, like were very different looking than the ones I did. Indeed, we did. Oh, yeah, I had moments like that as a kid. I definitely, yeah, I remember doing things like that, or like saving up my money for months and months. Or you know what I would do? I would go get Barbies from like I had a talking Barbie that I got from like a yard sale. It was $4. I remember I like went home and I counted like all my change and I brought it back and I was like, "Give me that Barbie." Yeah. You know what? My aunt did buy me a car for my Barbie. I will say that my Barbies did have a car. Like my Barbies were living good. They were Amazons, but they had a car. That was nice. Yeah, my aunt Kathy got me that. That was sweet of her. Yeah. I mean, we never had any, in other words, when it was still open. But by that time, it was already too late. Yeah, I never got into Bratz dolls. See, yeah, Bratz dolls came a little bit later. Like I was already too old by the time they came out. And I was like, honestly, I thought those dolls were a little hoochie. But I can't wait for the Bratz movie. Yeah, are they going to make a Bratz movie? They probably already have, actually. I think they might have. But yeah, Bratz dolls always were. But then again, like I've known some younger women with the Bratz dolls, and they feel very similarly about the Bratz dolls. Like they were really into them. Like they liked the fashion of them. They definitely had that like oddies fashion. Yeah, Bratz dolls were a thing. I'm thinking of like other little dolls. I remember girls playing with Polly Pockets when I was a kid, and I never had any of those. I never had any of the Polly Pockets, but they were these tiny little dolls, and they had these little they had these tiny little like cases that you could put in your pocket, you know. Um, and then you open it up, and it's like this whole little world that she's in, and there's like, but yeah, I never had those. This is interesting. Yeah, I was assuming like the first ones that they made must have just been like the Barbie doll just made to look black, but yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna look this up. I'd love to look at these dolls. Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. Sometimes I'll just be like talking about my childhood like very nonchalantly. Like I don't even see my childhood as being bad at all. Like at all. Like I was so blessed in so many ways. But I'll just be saying like a little like detail about my life to people, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'll be like, I was like, "Well, it's too bad you didn't have that." Like, and I'm just like, "But I had so much. I had so much. Like, what are you talking about? Who cares? No life has everything." And I'm like, and I think too, facing some adversity as a child isn't a bad thing. It prepares you for the real world. If you have a childhood where you're like, maybe go without something, or you're face challenges that maybe other people don't, it's not a bad thing. I don't know why people think that childhood is just this like completely needs to be this completely perfect innocent state. It's not. I've never played an interactive online Barbie game. How boring. Why would you why would I do that when I could play with my Barbie? Yes. Oh man. You missed it earlier when I was saying don't cut the hair off your Barbie, you'll regret it. I had so much regret when I cut my Barbie's hair. She didn't look good anymore. I thought she's going to have pretty short hair. I'm going to do it right. And she didn't. She looked so wrong. She looked so bad. Why did I do that to her? I'm sorry, Barbie, wherever you are. Oh my. It's all adult men that are collecting those dolls, though. Is Susie a type of Bratz doll, or is this a different kind of doll that I'm not aware of? Oh, okay, cool. So you know about Polly Pocket, Mad Max. I'm not familiar with that. They were trashy for lack of it. Yeah, the Bratz dolls. They just were a little bit. They were little adults. Whereas Barbie like could feign, some sort of, I don't know. Bratz dolls, they look like they were going clubbing or something. I don't know. Max, I've never heard of the Mad Max. Oh, sorry. Weird Barbie was cool. In the film, yeah, I mean, it was I like that they demonstrated that because everybody has in their closet, if you had Barbies, you had that one Barbie that you messed up. Or you went over to your friend's house and you saw what she did to her Barbie. And you were like, "Oh, you sick. You're a sick girl." It's interesting, yeah, since seeing this film too, I will say that like bringing up all the childhood nostalgia, I have had like memories come back as of my childhood that I hadn't thought about in a long time. Just like come back to me, things that like happened or things I did. I think that's kind of another thing that maybe people are going through with this film and part of why they are so attached to it because like what can I say? There's an emotional entanglement with Barbie, and I think the nostalgia factor is really it gets to people. It really gets to people. Hi, sweetheart. You have been moving around. Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know. People have really silly ideas about children. They really do. I love children though. I love looking at them. I love seeing them. But you know that like you have no idea what's going on in their life. You don't know what they're struggling with, what they're facing. And yet like at the same time, they're just so curious and so aware in some ways and so much more honest than adults sometimes. I don't know. Like I definitely look back. I don't see the point in looking back and like wishing things were different because they'll never be. So why not appreciate what was good? Why not look at what you had? I mean, like your story here about sharing how your father like and mother saved money for a while to get you this doll. It's like, you know, you could that's something you can look back at and be like, okay, well, they they went out of their way to do something for you to make you feel special. You know, that's you know, I don't know. It's these the little things like that. I think about that too with my father and my childhood. Like there were so many things. Don't be talking about Barbie that way. Don't be saying that. No. I did. I did. I played with GI Joes when I was little. Actually, I had quite a few the little like plastic ones, and I would set them up and like have little scenarios with them. Um, so yeah, I definitely I played with those. I'm trying to think like male toys. I don't know. Like I don't like to think of things as that anyway, but I mean, we're talking about Barbies and those are very clearly like for girls. Not I didn't the times I had boys play with my Barbies, it was a disaster. So they were not respectful. They were very angry to be playing with Barbie. I never had one of those male friends that would play Barbies with me. Um, so yeah, GI Joes were something I played with, and then I don't know. I had a lot of like unisex toys as well, like unisex. But you know, I had like cars and you know, like little cars and some models that I you know build those kind of toys. Um, I was really blessed. My dad got me a train set one year. It was something I really wanted, and he actually got me it. And I love setting it. We would set it up at Christmas time, and I couldn't have it out all the time, and so eventually I got tired of it. But I really loved that. It was such a nice gift, and the fact that he got that for me. And then also I had Legos, Legos, and then you know I was an outdoorsy kid, so I had a rock collection. So I played with those a lot. I still play with rocks. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. Her plastic hair must have melted off. Mighty Max. Mighty Max sounds more familiar. I know the 90s. It's just, the best. 90s will never do better, right? Ah, that's just vanity, right? It's just silly. I mean, we're adults now. I saw some report that like millennials are some of the biggest consumers of toys. Like, and it's not for kids. We're consuming them for ourselves. Oh my. I know, but oh, Power Rangers. Power Rangers. I didn't have any Power Rangers. Hey, what are you doing? I'm gonna have to get off soon. He's yelling at me. Well, this broadcast didn't go the way I wanted. Just descent into talk about the childhood toys. Oh, interesting. That's the thing about liked about the little GI Joes is because you could just do so much with them, and they were fun to play with because I don't know, they were all the same color. Do the other. Yeah, I don't know. I've known some boomers that like women who have maybe stuffed animal collections, um, like really prominent ones, or I did know a boomer. She had dolls, but she designed dresses for dolls and she would sell them. So it was like a business, like a side business she had, and she had a big collection of them. So a lot of the times with boomers, it's like either tied to like a collection. And you know what? My aunt was a fiend for those Beanie Babies. So they love toys. Don't get it twisted. Actually, not only my aunt, but my dad had one of his friends. She had a massive Beanie Baby collection. And I remember when McDonald's was doing their like Beanie Baby toy with the Happy Meal, she bought so many of those Happy Meals just to try and get all of the toys. Yeah, I don't know, but they made some Barbies like that, and I didn't like that at all. Like whenever I saw Barbie with like bendable knees, I was like, it's not right. Okay, y'all. So okay, let me wrap this up. So in conclusion, I liked Oppenheimer. I thought it was great. I loved speaking of nostalgia, I love period dramas. I liked the color schemes. I liked the visuals. Excuse me one second. Stop. We have in a moment. Okay, so yeah, in conclusion, I loved Oppenheimer. Loved the visuals, loved just the storyline. I thought it was really beautiful in many times, and I loved the clothing and the those cars, man. What I wouldn't give to like ride around in one of those black cars that they had in the film. They had this like same car. Oh, they're so beautiful and they look so comfortable and chic. And I'm just like, why? why? I know things weren't better then. I know the country was all messed up. I know that like the standard of life was not very good for a lot of people. But then again, I'm like, I see that and I'm just like, ugh, how beautiful. How beautiful these things were that they had. So I enjoyed it for those reasons. I'm sorry, my cat is just. I don't know. He's a fiend. He's crazy. Good God. That's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. This is another thing about the feminism. Like, Why tease a woman for having toys or dolls? I think that too. Like, I am very in touch with my inner little girl. Like, I love it. I love little, you know, I was looking at a baby doll dress, like with some friends, and they were like, "Oh, you look like a little girl in that." And I was like, "Well, what the hell is wrong with looking like a little girl? They have the best clothes." Like, I'm not a little girl. Obviously, I'm an adult, but like, if I like it and it's cute, like, what the hell is that? Like, what's wrong? Why is it wrong for an adult woman to have toys? If I mean, I get like there's a point where it gets a little crazy, but like girlhood is significant. Girlhood is very important, and I think like I've kept my favorite toy when I was a child, which is a little puppet bear. I've kept him, and then as an adult, I've acquired some troll dolls, and I have I've had people give me stuffed animals. Like, I don't know, it's just like people are so mean and like so devoid of joy, and like they just want to rob any people's effing joy. How is it anti-feminist to have a toy? I mean, who cares? I don't care if it's anti-feminist. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? God. No wonder the freaking women's movement fell apart. You got people ragging on you for dumbass things like that. It's just like, ugh. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, yeah. Those kind of things are very precious. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with keeping a toy like that, right? I mean, that's well, I liked Oppenheimer more. You get more movie for your money. It's 3 hours long. I found it very pretty. Like I said at the beginning, there was parts of it I didn't like, but I definitely enjoyed it. He sounds hungry. My cat is not hungry. He's had 3 cans of cat food already today. He is anything but hungry. He got a can of cat food before I went live because I'm like, you're not going to be pulling your BS. But what is it now? He just wants my attention, which is fair. He did interrupt me when I was working today. He came and laid on my desk, and I picked him up and put him off. So he's kind of upset about that. He'll get some attention very soon. Times are very different today. Yeah, I suppose. People don't change very much, though. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's still people that will do that to you now. So, I mean, I don't care. I don't live for other people. I'm free. I don't live for other people. I live to please me. Like, I'm wearing pink right now, and I have pink nails. Oh my god. That might offend some people. My hair's in pigtails. I did have someone say something to me about putting my hair in pigtails. It said something like, "You look like a little girl." And I was like, in no way do I look like a little girl. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want because it's my life. I mean, I don't know. I think I definitely think a lot of people are mentally immature, but yeah, you're infantilizing yourself. I mean, what's so great about being an adult? Why not infantilize yourself? Damn, like, why not? Have some fun. Yeah. That's true. Indeed, yeah, it's definitely relevant today. I mean, it's part of how the world became what it is today, isn't it? The reality, the current reality we live in, it's very much in part due to those events and what happened in World War II. Hmm. Are you upset with me, Mr. Kitty? You upset? Good, you back kitty. I don't know. I don't care. You know, that's the thing about me. I don't care anymore. Like, it's not even my move. I don't care. I'm not part of it. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm done. I am done. Like, that stuff is crazy. I don't want anything to do with it. Why so serious? Are you talking about my cat? Yeah. I don't know. I'm so like, I don't know. Obviously he gets rowdy when I go live. He doesn't like, I think he doesn't like to hear me talking so much. It confuses him when I'm just talking and it's not to him, but there's nobody else here. I think that upsets him as well. You know, he hears the chatter and it's like, what does she want? What does she want? Why is she not just pay attention to me? Why is she talking but she's not interacting with me? What does she want? Mm. Oh yeah. I mean, we get into that. It's the label has changed, but it's the same kind of mechanisms in place for these people. Um, Definitely, yeah, historically very interesting, and I appreciated learning more. I mean, I didn't really know much about Oppenheimer. I really didn't. So I didn't know that he had such left wing connections and that he was, associated with communists. I didn't know that. Like, it's interesting. It's interesting, definitely, to know that and to learn that and to see that he had some, very good politics in some ways. Well, that would be interesting to view. Maybe I will do that. View it next. Okay. Being done is a sign of maturity. I think so, because the older we get, the more tired we are, and the less desire we have to actually just, I guess, yeah, defend ourselves. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's nothing to defend. There's nothing to discuss. I'm autonomous here. Period. This is my life, me, and people can accept me or not. I don't care. I don't care if I'm doing things right for other people. I'm not here to live for them or live their life. And it's utterly absurd to try to. And it's all a distraction from what's really important as well. All of that nonsense is a distraction from people sorting out their own lives. Because I have never met a single person who is fixated on these things that has their life together, that is content with themselves. People that are content with themselves and their lives and the way things are going for them do not pick at others. They just don't. And that's the reality. And we can, call it politics, we can call it whatever we want, but the reality is they've got a problem because they're not secure themselves. They've got an opinion about something because they project way too much importance on things that are external. They put way too much need for the external reality to validate them as opposed to finding that within. Well, thank you for the recommendation. Truth. You know what? It's easy to get caught up in that stuff though, because so many people are miserable and so many people are not happy and where they want to be. And maybe you never get there. Maybe you never reach the heights you want to reach, and maybe you never find the happiness you seek. And you know what? That's even that is silly. Why do we seek happiness so much? Happiness is a feeling. It's temporary. We should be seeking, some sort of contentment with ourselves and our spirits, and everything else is just pointless. Happiness is fleeting, just like any other emotion, and it's not the goal of life. It isn't a life well lived. It doesn't mean you were happy all the time. There has to be a time for all feelings, all seasons. There has to be a time for grief. There has to be a time for sorrow. There has to be a time for happiness and merriment and rejoicing. And there has to be a time for, fasting and giving away and going without. And there has to be a time where we are abundant, and that's just life. And so many people are too fixated on the external, whether it be other people or things or achievements, all material things that are going to satisfy the longing and gnawing in their soul. And just like with this Barbie film, Barbie's dream career is not going to fulfill her. Barbie's dream house is not going to fulfill her. Yeah, I like that too. Freedom is very nice. To feel free is to feel very good. I think so, yeah. And it's I think, yeah, and it's just too profound and complex to think, about what other people are doing when you're not in order. So many people don't have their house in order, Get your house in order. Then worry about what other people are doing. Yes, I'm glad you caught me, although you're up late, so go to bed. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Have a good night. Have a good rest of your day. Oh my. And I will be back another time. And Nero will probably be back as well. Take care. Bye.